A famous novelist once said, "There are no great people, only great topics." So good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. I'm Georgia Vital, your Sergeant at Arms today. I'm the president of Be Bold for Change, and I'm very honored to be here to open the meeting. And I believe that we won't just experience a great topic today, but we will experience also a great person, a great speaker, Toastmaster Mariana. She'll be teaching us about how to choose a good topic. But first of all, just to check in with our mission statement from Toastmasters, that is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, which result in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So I'm sure today you will be inspired by our Mariana in your personal growth, and you will develop your leadership skills at the same time. So also, I want to check in with you our etiquette, please. So there's a few rules that we need to abide by. First of all, please switch off your phones and devices and remove any distractions if possible. Please remain muted unless you're invited to speak. Also, could you keep your cameras on if possible? It's always nice to see happy, smiley faces. But of course, switch them off if you need to step away from the camera. And finally, use the chat function if you want to give feedback to any of our speakers. That would be a really good way to keep the conversation going. A copy of the agenda should be in the chat, so you can take a look at that, I believe. And of course, very controversially, because these are always the fun topics, please avoid any of the taboo topics regarding sex, religion, and politics. So I can trust you all to keep to those taboo topic exclusions. And finally, I want to welcome you to our training session with Mariana. I hope you will thoroughly enjoy this. Our Master of Ceremonies today is a passionate veteran Toastmaster herself, and she's been in many roles in XCOMs. She's also the previous director for Area 32, and she is currently a VP Ed for Emirates Group Toastmasters Club. She's also the assistant for the club growth department in Division I. So please could you all give a warm welcome to our amazing Master of Ceremonies today, Toastmaster Charmaine. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Charmaine.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgia, for that introduction. Good evening, Division I. How are we today?
Fantastic.
Superb.
Excellent.
A1.
I'm sure most of you had a very relaxed and restful weekend. And many of you had a weekend filled with a lot of learning by attending the very many division, club, area events that have been flashing all around. Before we get on with the session today, I can see that we have a few dignitaries around, and we'd like to introduce the dignitaries. We have our district CG Club Growth Director for 105, DTM Deepa Surendran. A big round of applause to her. And would you like to say a few words, Deepa?
Thank you very much. Good evening to you all. I just want to mention that Mariana is one of the area directors who managed to get all the clubs renewed in her area. So big round of applause, and with that big confidence, let us start. Back to you. I mean, I'm not taking much time, but congratulations to Area 32 and Division I.
Thank you, DTM Deepa. Area 32 always soars high, and we will make Division I proud. We also have with us Division Director for Division P, DTM Hemant. Would you like to say a few words? DTM Hemant, are you with us?
I don't see him.
No,
Yeah.
I can't see him.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests, for your time this evening to witness something which we are all waiting so anxiously and eagerly for. Learning is like collecting seashells. We collect new, interesting bits of knowledge as we go through life. A wise person once said, perfection has to do with the end product, but excellence has to do with the process. This education session today is about finding that process, a 3-step formula to craft and create an impact on our unique stories. Great leaders are great storytellers. We have in our midst today someone who's originally Armenian, was born and brought up in Lebanon. With her mischievousness and adventurous nature, she fell in love, got married, and moved to Dubai in 1998. She is someone who loves to sit and write in her favorite coffee shop. She spends most of her time reading, cooking, playing Nerf gun with her son. Mind you, she wants to win always over that son of hers. She loves watching football with her husband. Her favorite team is Manchester United. So all you Arsenal fans, be careful, because we have her rooting and wooting for Manchester United. She loves to do anything to take her away from the gym. A truly passionate Toastmaster, she joined Be Bold for Change, the only ladies club in 2018. Toastmasters has changed her life by being amongst bold and beautiful women who inspire, empower, and enable one another to become the best version of themselves. She is currently the Area Director for Area 32, Division I, Region 11 of Toastmasters International. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let's put your hands together for Toastmaster Mariana Missakian, who will take us through how to discover better stories and share her recipe of the 3-step formula that we're all waiting for. Over to you, Toastmaster Mariana.
Thank you. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Dika and Deepa, and thank you, Georgia, for your extremely nice words. I am humbled by everyone who is here today, and I am humbled by the love I have received by you all. And as Charmaine said, thank you so much for being here with us tonight after what I assume to be a very long day. If you ask me, and Ragurama, he will confirm, because he was also having a long day with me, a very long day of grocery shopping, a very long day of cooking, and a very long day of doing multiple tasks. So thank you so much for being here tonight and choosing to spend your time with us here. But before I start, let me first start by sharing my screen to make sure that technologically everything is working, because you never know these things. Okay, here we go. So before we start, I see many familiar faces around me, and thank you so much for that. But I also see some faces and some people that I am not familiar with. So for that, I'm gonna ask everyone, please, to rename themselves. And the way we're gonna rename ourselves is that we're gonna think of an adjective that describes us or a word that describes us. Let's not think about it too much, but a word that you relate with it. And please change your name, rename yourself with that adjective. So for example, glamorous Sally or grumpy Bobby. When I was doing this activity a year ago, I'm gonna check your name, so I'll continue as you're all changing. You don't think about it, just go with the first name. Because when I was doing this activity a year ago, the first word that came to my mind, and just the first and only word that came to my mind was mama. So a year later, I'm sticking to that name, and I am Mama Mariana. So welcome everyone and nice to meet you. I somehow cannot see if you have renamed yourself. Is that because I am in presentation mode? If someone can guide me, I cannot see the names. Can I ask a few of you to share your names in the chat so that I get to know you, because it seems from my side I cannot see you renaming. But in the meantime, I guess you get to know each other by seeing your windows. Vibrant Wenzel, thank you, Wenzel. That is a very good adjective. Super Sarah, hello, Super Sarah. Thank you for being with us today. What more? Can I have a few more? Adaptable Sandeep, that is so true, Sandeep. I have worked with Sandeep and I can say that he is 100% adaptable. Okay, so please keep on continuing doing these. And wow, how do I pronounce that, Tina? Is that sagacious? I'm going to use that as word of today in one of the upcoming Toastmasters meeting. What does that mean?
Means outgoing, exciting, vibrant.
I love that, and so true to your name, Tina. Thank you for giving us that word. Cautious, Asha. So, so let's go on. As Raghu, I'm waiting for you to send me your name also. Yeah. So, Raghu, imaginative Shalini, that is true, 100%. Thank you, Shalini, for logging in as well. Last month, I don't know how many meetings you attended, but I was counting and I ended up attending 25 online meetings last month. Fortunately, they were not all Toastmasters meetings. So fortunately, unfortunately, not sure. But there were some women association meetings, there were some business club meetings. The point is, I attended many different meetings with different audiences talking about different topics. But what I found interesting, that in these 25 meetings, I ended up hearing, okay, how do I control the slides? Here we go. I ended up hearing at least one cat story in each and every single meeting. So it goes like this. I was walking on the road. I saw a yellowish brownish cat. The cat was hot. The cat was hungry. I picked up the cat. I took him home. I bathed him. And now the cat will never be hungry and will never be hot again. People, if I hear a cat story one more time, I'm going to start meowing myself. I'm seriously sick of hearing cat stories. And like Charmaine said, what did Charmaine say? Charmaine said, Toastmasters is where leaders are made. And great leaders are great storytellers. Why are they great storytellers? Because they know that the audience listens with their heart. The audience listens with their emotions. Great leaders know that data and facts don't change much behavior. It's the emotions that change behavior. Trust me, if data, facts, and cats changed behaviors, I would be skinny right now. I would know. Data don't change much. So I gave my first speech in 2018. 2018 was the year I joined Toastmasters, and it was my time to stand up and give my icebreaker speech. I think, Charmaine, you might have been there during that meeting. I was trying to remember if it was the meeting you attended. And Mahar is there and Suhair in the picture are attending the meeting with us today, if they remember that day. So in 2018, I stood up on stage. It was an actual stage those days. And I said, this is what I said. I said, hello, everyone. My name is Mariana, and I'm supposed to stand here and tell you about myself for the next 4 to 6 minutes. But what if instead I take you on a journey? So together we figure out who I am, and together we decide how we want to change the world. You see, on that day, I became a storyteller. I could have very easily said, I was born in Lebanon, I'm Armenian, I went to school there, I came on a flight to Dubai, this was my first job, I have a cat, I have a dog. But I didn't say that. I didn't say any of that, because that day I decided that I want to speak my truth. And that day, I decided that I want to remove all the boundaries between me and the audience. And I decided that I want to invite the audience to see the world through my eyes, to feel it, to touch it, to sense it, and maybe come and have a walk with me in my world. Because what is a storyteller? A storyteller is someone who builds empathy and trust, is someone who changes the narrative from the story of me, to the story of us, all of us. A story that connects us, a story that builds connection, a story that helps us understand each other better, a story that makes us want to be better people and build a better world. So can I ask you, I think maybe we'll ask the Zoom master to help us unmute the audience. And if the audience can tell me how many speeches did they deliver last year? 2, 3, Zoom master?
Yes, the participants can unmute themselves.
Okay, can you please unmute yourself and tell me how many speeches did you deliver last year? Let's get a rough idea of how busy our participants were last year.
Around 15.
15, wow. Anyone else?
I think I have given around 20.
Oh my God, okay, I have competition. Who was that? I couldn't see.
I'm Amra Shah, I'm a grumpy granny.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm so sorry, but somehow I can't see all the participants on my screen to my right. So I guess you and I are the winner, Grumpy Nani, because
I delivered 4 levels,
Oh my God.
4 levels I delivered.
How many is that, Raghuram?
I did not count how many speeches, but I delivered almost 4 levels I delivered.
Okay, and I thought that nobody will beat my 20 number. How wrong was I? I'm amongst the greatest of Toastmasters. Okay, so I very humbly delivered 20 speeches last year.
That is great, yeah.
I counted them, so that for me is huge, yeah, because I just joined in 2018. After 2 years, I thought that I'm doing something amazing. But the question is that how did I manage as a newcomer, Toastmaster, newbie, among the greatest that I am here tonight? How did I manage to deliver one speech every 2 weeks? And it's not only speech, based on what I just said up to now. I delivered one new story once every 2 weeks. How did I do that? So when I was preparing for this speech, and as I do every time I prepare a speech, my son was sitting next to me. He's always sitting next to me somehow when I'm working on my speeches. He's so proud of me. So he was sitting next to me and he told me, he said, Mama, is your speech gonna be about me tomorrow? I'm like, no, Enzo, no, not this time. Okay, like give me a break. This time my speech will not be about you. This time, actually, I'm gonna talk about how to choose a speech topic and about storytelling. So what do you think I should say? He thought about it for a minute, and then he looked at me and he said, well, number one, I think you should choose a topic that you really care about. And number two, the topic should be something that makes you smile really, really hard or makes you cry really, really hard. And number three, The topic should be that something only you can talk about and no one else. So I guess by now, my son listening to me practicing and writing my speeches, next to him, he figured out my secret weapon. He figured out my formula. He figured out how I did it. So how I did it, how did I manage to talk about 20 stories and come up with more stories to talk about? I managed to do that by finding stories that only I can tell, stories that I cannot find on Google, and stories that are as unique as me. But the question is, and this is why we are here today, how did I do it? How did I manage to find those stories? I managed to find those stories by following a 3-step formula. Step 1, I started by something I call the me illustration. Okay, this is TM, trademark Mariana. Okay, so if you use it and abuse it, please trademark my name for it. So the illustration of me basically was all about me, who I am. What do I like? What I don't like? What's my pain? What's my passion? What are my struggles? What makes me unique? What am I good at? What keeps on showing anything and everything that makes me, the good and the ugly. And when I was doing this me illustration, I realized that some subjects and some themes kept on coming around across categories. The same word kept on coming, the same subject kept on coming. So I used those recurring themes, those recurring words to come up with my why statement. Why statement is the contribution that I want to make and the impact I want to achieve. And I was only able to come up with this why statement after I figured out what makes me, what keeps me up at night, what bothers me, what irritates my skin. And I couldn't have reached here if I didn't have done the me illustration. Now, the good news for everybody here in this room today is that nobody identified herself or himself with a cat, a dog, or a rainy weather. So we have people who identified themselves as grumpy, Granny, see, I remember, I will not forget that. Optimist, Chamrose, exuberant, Sadaf. So this is great news, people, because this is your starting point, what you will put in your me illustration, and you will see where it's gonna take you. And this is what is gonna make the core of the stories that you're going to start talking about. So after step 1, after we know who we are and why are we here, what's our purpose, we move to step 2. Step 2, it's very easy. It's about why me. Why is this my story? Why is this my contribution? Why is it so unique to me that nobody can stand up on a stage and claim the same why and claim the same core values? So the why me, basically, you look in the mirror and you keep on asking yourself, why me, until you get clarity and you keep on drilling. So I will share with you my why me. Now that you know my why statement, let's take me as an example. So why me? Why is that my contribution? And why is that the impact I want to make? So why me? Because I was a very successful career woman. Why me? Because I left my job to become a full-time mom. Why me? Because when I left my job, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore without a job. Why me? Because the pain and my struggles helped me find my voice, to move from success to meaning. Why me? Because I stopped making things happen and I started making people happen. So after you heard the why me, does my why statement starting to make sense? This is how I am drilling. And every time you ask a why, that is a new topic of a story. That is a new topic of a speech. Every time you ask a why and you come up with an answer. And this takes us to step 3, the grand finale, the how. The how did I get here? I know who I am, I know why I am, but how did I get here? And that question will give me my hero journey, will explain to me my hero journey, which will illustrate why my hero, which is me, what are the challenges he had to go through, what are the struggles he had to go through, and what are the lessons he learned. And this is super easy to follow, because it follows a 7-step story arc and starts with, once there was a, every day, until one day, because of that, until finally, ever since then. So all you have to do here is pick up your why statement, is pick up your why me questions and put them here. And every time you have a hero journey, you have a topic, you have a story, you have something to talk about. And this is my hero journey. The thing is, you will be surprised how easy it is to follow this 3-step formula to talk about anything and everything. I did my level 1 and level 2 of Toastmasters using these. I talked about leadership using this formula. I spoke about marketing. I spoke about juggling in the circus. I spoke about math. I spoke about the weather and the storm. All I had to do is plug into my me, to my why statement, and to my hero journey, to my story pool, and come up with stories to serve the topic. And with Toastmasters, it's easy because Toastmasters give you guidance that you're going to talk about leadership. So how does my hero journey coincide with the leadership lessons I learned? And then it tells you about research. How does my research into becoming a better version of myself falls into the objective of Toastmasters speech? But I know what you're thinking, right? It's like, why you want to talk about your personal stories? Why you want to talk about your pain? Why you want to talk about your struggles? Why you want to talk about your problems? Why you want to keep on talking about yourself? Because we want to stand up for something. And we want to be known for something. We want to make an impact with our story. It's a privilege for someone to be standing on a stage. It's a privilege for someone to be addressing the crowd. And with that privilege, we want to make an impact. We want to touch lives. We want to change lives. We want to make people want to become better version of themselves. And we want those people to make the world a better place. Clarity of purpose is the #1 differentiation between a powerful speaker, between an authentic leader, and what I call, again, a TM word I just came up with yesterday, a stage hugger. We don't want to be a stage hugger when we give speeches. We want to define who we are, and we want to define what we stand for. We want to be memorable. We want to touch the heart of people, and we want them to join us in changing the world and make the world a better place. They made a study on 500, the most popular TEDx talks. And they found out that the topics, the speeches that go viral have 3 basic elements. These are the most memorable speeches. These are the speeches that find your way to your WhatsApp group, to your inboxes, to your Instagram. And all speeches, the most popular ones, share 3 things in common. 65% of the speech is based on personal story. And this is the part what we covered today. This is the me, the why statement, and my hero journey. This is where you spend most of your time. But if you do it once, you've done it. Then all you have to do is plug in the other details. 25% of the speech is based on facts and figures. And this is quite the easy bit. You can get it from Google to support your story, to support the moral behind your story, the message behind your story. And 10% of the speech is information to back up the credibility of the topic. Now, keeping this in mind, do you think that today during my presentation, I was able to tick these boxes? Yeah, Asha, I can see Asha. I didn't actually hold a pen and paper and counted that 65% of my speech is stories. But when I feel that the bulk of my speech is a story, then I feel that I have the job done. So it's not a 65% on the dot. And this is something actually last week, I attended an educational at the EGTC club. They had an educational on pathways. Shirani is here, I think. Shirani, Shalini, Charmaine, all from EGTC. They had, DTM Deepa was there also. She gave the keynote speech on pathways. DTM Ramesh Anantaram gave the presentation on pathways. And he said something extremely useful that falls in line with what I believe to be true. He said, the objective of pathways of Toastmasters is not to become a DTM. And please, EGDC members and DTM Deepa, correct me if I got his message wrong. He said the objective of Toastmasters is not to become a DTM, because if that was the objective, then why people are aiming to get their second DTM, their third DTM, and their fourth DTM? He said the objective of the pathways is to become a better version of ourselves, a better human. It's the journey and not the destination. I mean, look at it. It's in the name itself. It's path. So it's not expected for us to stand up and tick the boxes. Level 1, speech 1, done. Level 2, speech 1, done. That is not the true objective of pathways. The true objective of pathways, and the way I understood it as well from DTM Rapesh, is to go deep, to go to the core value of who we are and make sure that we deliver to the best of our capabilities, to the best of our knowledge, to become the best leaders we can be, and to influence the people around us to the best that we can be. So the objective is to become better leaders, better humans, and make the world a better place. Because I will reiterate this. The objective of giving a speech is not to stand up and speak. For me, to be given the privilege to stand on a stage is a privilege given to very few. So when we stand up on a speech, we are not there just to speak, to tick a box. We are there to connect. We are there to build bridges to the people who are there to listen to us. We are there to connect with humans. And in the process, we are there to become better leaders and better versions and make the world inspire, empower as well the audience. So in turn, they also become better leaders and better versions of themselves. So going back to why we're here today, my 3-step formula and what my son said. I'm going to assume that without his wise words, someone said in the chat wise words, this whole session wouldn't have happened, because he has given me the stepping stone to put all this session together. So what are the 3 steps, the 3-step formula to come up with topics and never run out of topics to talk about? 1, find a topic that you really care about. Find your why. Don't Google, please. I warn you, don't Google. Step 2, make sure that the topic makes you smile really, really hard, or even make you cry really, really hard. And why not? Invite the audience to cry with you. Invite the audience to laugh with you, to smile with you. Build those connections. And step 3, draft your hero journey. That's it. Oh, I made it on time. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. It was a quiet room. I was expecting more interjections and more, but please, we'll open the room for questions. If anybody has any question, go ahead. I hope you enjoyed the session. Any remark? Oh, thank you for stopping share session, Wenzel. Thank you. Can I hear now from the audience if they like any comments, any questions, something that was not clear in my 3-step process? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense? Also,
Toastmaster Mariana, you were talking about. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about framing icebreaker speech. So how do we copy and paste the same thing for our advanced speeches? In case you choose a topic and then talk about why and how and the hero journey, how do we put that into a normal speech or an advanced speech?
The way I do it, and my club knows about this, how I write my speeches, is that I go to a coffee shop. It has to be Costa and it has to be in Mall of Emirates. It's part of my ritual of writing my speeches. And for me, it's very important to respect the process of writing a speech. So my ritual is I go to Costa Coffee, I go to Mall of Emirates, and I pick up a pencil and I start writing my speeches. At this point, I have read the objective of the speeches and I have read the evaluation, and I just start writing. Without thinking, I just go with the flow and I start writing whatever it is that comes through my mind. And I end up writing 3 or 4 pages of that speech. After the 3 or 4 pages are written, I go back to my why statement and I go back to my hero journey. And I think, how did these 2 can be combined together? Because it all comes back to our branding, to our identity, to the authenticity and the credibility of our voice and what is it that we stand behind. So we need to make sure that our flavor is there in every single speech that we write. I'm not saying it's easy. For example, when I had to write the communication speech, which is level 2, speech 2, it was extremely difficult for me to write my hero journey in the communication speech. But I did it. It took a longer time, and it all comes with practice. Because if you are true to who you are, and if you are true to keeping yourself authentic in every single speeches, you will find a way to do it. It's not easy, but it's in you. And once you start writing a speech with an objective in mind, it will come out. So practice, have a ritual of writing a speech. First, do your me illustration. That is extremely important. Keep it always handy. Me illustration is always with me. And I always keep on adding it because we are growing as people and we are having more experiences as we are growing. Keep that handy and work the way on that. Sorry, I'm trying to manage the chat and this discussion. Any other questions? I see smiling faces. So smiling faces is happy faces, satisfied customers.
Can I talk? Actually, I
Taliya.
just wanted to, sorry, I just wanted to congratulate you because of your courage. Because what I felt is like, without Googling, whatever you have in your mind, if you have that courage to present that in front of people, that is really, really something amazing. Because I deliver many speeches, and I mean, as DTM Ramesh Anandaraman said, it's not for getting DTM, but I try to deliver, improve myself. But every time I write my speech, when I get a topic, I write the speech and then I validate going back to Google, I mean, others' opinion, because I'm not very sure whether, I'm going to present something stupid in front of the people. So I want that kind of validation. So if you are able to do that, without getting validated from others, that is a brilliant quality or a skill in you. And please, I'm just praying if I get that kind of confidence in future. Maybe in Toastmasters, after delivering many speeches, we all will get that. But I'm just praying for that. But hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you, DDM. Deepa. It takes a lot of courage not to Google. It takes a lot of courage not to put your trust in someone else and put your trust in your voice and your words. But what I always say to me, it's my story. It's my version, it's my words, it's who I am, me. Google will not tell me who I am. Google will not validate my feelings. It will just give me a generic explanation that I will share with everybody. But if I start with who I am, and if I may wrong, because the thing is, what I went through and how I grew and the lessons I am sharing, it may not be true for everybody. Everyone has his own path to give. But what will be, it will be true to me. And this was my path that I created on my own. I hope you use the three-step formula. And if you do, please call me. I would like to attend your speech. Even so, call me if you want any input, any help with writing your speech using the three-step formula. I will be there to help you. If you're comfortable writing the speech, please invite me to attend your speech. If you need any questions. Oh my God, such a quiet audience. I think
it has to be in Mall of Emirates in the same coffee shop.
For me, it has to be, because I tried, Dr. Abdul Sattar. I tried so many coffee shops. I tried so many coffees that I could only get my inspiration. I actually wrote my whole book in Costa Coffee. So I just found that
Is it possible Costa Coffee in Mirdif City Center? Is it okay?
Try it, it's the vibe.
You have to taste the coffee same, right?
Shalini, you had a question?
I think Shalini has something.
Yeah, all I want to say, this was a wonderful session, Mariana. And in today's world, where all of us are so used to connecting on the laptop or iPad or mobile and drafting and crafting our speeches, you took us back to the board where you're telling us we have to write it down. And I truly believe, because writing has got its own nostalgic feeling. It's magical. And when you put your thoughts from your head onto paper with your hand, it gives a very beautiful feeling. It uplifts you. So thank you for reconnecting those very basics which we have all forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you.
We have one more question from Asha.
Hello.
Here you are. Hey,
First
Asha.
of all, hi. Anyway, beautiful session, and especially loved the three-step process. Just a question on step 2, which your son beautifully inspired you to give, and it's an inspiration to all of us. The question is something that makes us laugh very hard or cry very hard. What if we don't have something that makes us cry very hard or laugh very hard? Is there anything that we can use in between?
How can that be true, Asha, knowing you?
No, I think Asha has a question that can we add more number of emotions than just laughing and crying?
No.
I mean, keeping quiet, looking straight, looking up, these type of emotions can be added.
I think it has to have a shocking factor. I think that's what Doctor is trying to say. It has to have a shocking factor, something that something that you are really scared to show, or something that you're really proud to show. So it has to be an extreme emotion that you share, because this is where true magic happens. True magic happens at the level of when we're uncomfortable. And this is also the magic that happens with the audience. They will feel it. They will feel those extreme emotions with you, and they will feel your authenticity, and they will feel the power in your voice as well and in your stories. And that's what we want.
So something that is very personal to us, in other words, right?
Yes, it's all about vulnerability, Asha. I know the world is very protective. Now we have a lot of filters on social media. We even have voice filters and face filters and all that, because we are trying to be protective in our shell. But what is it that we are achieving by being protective in our shell? When I was going through my own hero journey, I couldn't find somebody to relate to the struggles I went through. And I felt extremely lonely, and I felt extremely isolated from the world. It was only when I joined Be Bold for Change, I felt safe. And when I felt safe, I trusted my voice and I started sharing. And when I started sharing, this is really when I watched people starting sharing, and together we started telling multiple stories and multiple voices. And this is how you change the world. By staying alone in your shell, in your room, you're not gonna change the world. And I think we are all here gathered at Toastmasters on Saturday at 7 p.m. because we want to change the world and we want to see the world become a better place, and we want us to be part of that change. So be vulnerable, share your pain, share your joys, invite people into your world and let them invite you to their world.
Can I stop crying?
Thank you so much, Mariana.
No, what I understood, can I add one point from Mariana? What she said is when you talk, people's concentration is what is most important. With the emotions, you can catch that. But finally, you have a take-home message that is going to change the world. This is what I understand from what Mariana said just now.
It is a take-home message at the end, because people will remember the 30 seconds of your speech at the beginning, and people will remember the 30 seconds at the end of your speech. So at the end, it's what you start with. What you started is what you make them feel. Is, oh yes, I feel the pain, I feel the joy, I want to know more. And what you end with is the success formula, is the tips that you give them to people and how to go through their own journey. But it's the whole package, Dr. Abdulsattar, especially now on Zoom era, when we don't have our body, when we don't have a big stage where we can walk around. Some people can write beautiful speeches. I'm sure I have done the same mistake. I have written beautiful speeches with beautiful messages, but maybe I wasn't able to deliver them as well, as powerfully as I could have. So it's the authenticity in your voice. It's how your face also, that is another educational. But yes, it's a whole package. Your voice, your energy, it reflects through your eyes. You have to feel each word. That's why when imaginative Shalini said, when you write your speech with your hand, you're writing with your emotion. And that emotion will come across when you're saying the speech, instead of writing it and Googling it. When you type it on a computer, as my experience, when you type it on a computer and you Google it, it's not your emotions that are being conveyed in that speech. It's not your words that are being conveyed in that speech. It's someone's third party's words, third party's emotion. But when you hold the pen and you write it on a piece of paper, you're writing with your heart. And when you write with your heart, you will speak from your heart. And this is how you will connect with the audience. I think, Charmaine, I think the time, we don't want to run over time. Should we close this session if there are no more questions? Kering Muniba, how can I capture all of your nice names? Mathilde, what did you say? Creative Mathilde. Oh, that is true, Mathilde. So everybody, if there's no more questions, maybe Charmaine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariana, for that wonderful session. Yes, we all need to get our papers, pencils out, back again, and those notebooks to sit and write your speech, and not write as in I mean practice your handwriting once again, and not your fingers on the typewriter. To add to that, Mariana has put in her 3-step formula in her very own book, which she has written, That Suburbia Lady, a satire memoir. She has taken many, many days, many months to sit at Costa Coffees and write out all those pages of hers. It is into production. It is going to come out soon. I hope we get a copy of that, or you will find it in the stores at Costa Coffee. Do grab a copy of that book of Mariana's once it is out. Thank you, Mariana, for that wonderful 3-step formula. Very simple, very easy to follow. And I'm sure all of us take that and implement it in our speeches from tomorrow.